Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everyone in podcast world. I'm again joined with Mr. Hopkins himself, a resident film reviewer.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.
Or good night.
And good night.
Hopefully you're not going to bed before we even start.
See you next week.
Okay, so today we are going to have a look at the BAFTA awards. A bit of a dispatch. We've been doing Oscars recently, so we're going to go over to the BAFTAs again because they're going to be...
Tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow though?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
well, hopefully we'll get some views before everyone knows the answers already then. So we're going to have a look at the Best Film 2015 and also the Outstanding British Film. There's a little bit of a crossover in the middle, but we'll go through Best Film and then we'll have a look at Outstanding. And the two, for the Best Film, the Imitation Game and Theory of Everything will cross over and hopefully cover both in the same point. So before we start, Toby, how's your week in film been?
All right, I watched The Interview again for the second time last night, which I quite enjoyed, mainly because of James Franco's goonish character, which had me laughing out loud on a good number of occasions. It is pretty crass, but it's still good fun for his character, and I.
Did it deserve all the extra publicity it got with the whole hacking thing and North Korea hating it?
I don't know really. I took it very frivolously. I didn't really get into the realm of considering the politically. I took it as a total fiction.
Yeah. If you were Kim Jong-un, would you have been offended by that film? If there's a film about them assassinating Toby Hopkins.
Well, I think that you did confirm this, being not a political animal at all. So he is the actual
he is
leader.
The current leader of
Yeah,
North
well,
Korea.
it would have annoyed. Yeah, it would have annoyed me actually. But at the same time, it is fiction. But it is taking the mickey somewhat.
Yeah, but maybe
really.
doesn't involve full state intervention.
No.
To show your distaste.
No, but I wouldn't. I tell you what, I wouldn't be very happy being anybody involved with that, with those threats. You know, you'd want to look over your shoulder a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, any other moments to speak of, or should we move on to the subject matter?
I did watch The Imitation Game again.
Good. So I think we're going to get
Yeah,
on to
we'll
that
get
as
on
we
to that.
carry on.
And
yeah.
I was wondering whether to go and see Kingsman, but I think I'd wait rather to see that on the small screen.
Yeah,
than
from what I've heard, it's kind of not too bad. There might be a bit of light misogyny going on in there.
Yeah, the misogyny you'd have to be in the absolutely right mood to put up with, and I don't think I
probably
that mood would
don't
never
take a
come.
girlfriend to go and see it potentially.
What's his name? Jeremy Clarkson tweeted that he really liked it.
Well, that
But
probably
that's-
that sums it up quite
Yeah.
nicely then.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Should we move on to what we're actually supposed to be talking about?
Yeah.
So we're going to get your thoughts, well, vaguely, on the best film and most outstanding British film in the BAFTAs, and we're going to assess this on the grounds of how many times you've seen said film, will you be watching it again, or would you want to watch it again, and also who would be your ideal viewing companion for the film. So if we start with Best Film 2015, Birdman's top of my list. So first question is, Toby, how many times have you seen Birdman?
I've seen this 1.5 times. To explain the half, the cinematography and the general style of the film has been hailed and billed by some as a bit woozy, a bit pretentious. The way it's continuous cuts and cut together to feel like the whole film is a continuous take. But I thought that represented the theatre very well. I did work in that theatre for a couple of years, and I found the effect very realistic, and it was a good film. Having said that, the second time I tried to watch it, I did find it a bit woozy.
Okay.
So I stopped. I did had enough of it.
Okay, so was that
Before
the
end.
first half you saw and then left the second
Yeah,
half?
yeah. But I don't know that I actually got to halfway.
Oh, right. So does this, just going back to an earlier review we did on the Oscars where I think you named it as potentially best film of 2015, does that still stand, or have you now seen too much?
Well, I don't. Yes, I think it's got a very good chance.
Okay.
I don't. I think they'll probably put Boyhood in there, but
Okay, so next question is then, seeing as you've watched it half time and slightly given up, will you be planning on watching it again?
Well, if I did, it would be in a while's time, and I think I would watch it with the one friend I made when I worked at the theatre, a chap called Tarquin Shaw Young. And I always got on with him, and he would have. He's still in the business. He runs a child acting agency.
That sounds like the name of a man who might be running a child acting agency.
And I think he would have a opinion about the theatre. We could chat and have films in theatre, and yeah,
he would be the ideal companion.
Idea, yeah.
Okay, so next film on the list is Boyhood. So how many times?
Just the once, in a kind of lackluster fashion, I have to say.
And has that lackluster extended through to not really wanting to watch it again, or has it got a chance to pull you back in?
I have no plans to, but I did think about this, and I think possibly the only circumstances in which I would watch it again is in a good deal of time ahead, about 10 years, and the situation would be when I had some kind of man flu and I was forced by fatigue to be rooted to my sofa, and it came on, or somebody had...
So what, like a kind of TV movie, when it comes on as a TV movie at some point in the future, and you can't be bothered to turn the channel.
Yeah, and I'll think, okay, I'll give it one more go and see what the fuss was about.
Okay, so while you're flu-ridden on the sofa in the future, who might you choose to watch it with?
I think it would just be me and a Lemsip.
Watch it with a Lemsip. Okay, Grand Budapest Hotel. How many times?
Twice, and thoroughly enjoyed both times.
Will you be watching it again?
Yeah, not in a huge hurry, but I'd save it up for the right occasion.
Okay, so it's more of a kind of a piece. It's kind of an exciting piece to watch, as opposed to feeling like you're going to get anything new out of it. More of an enjoyable watch, as opposed to something you're going to get more from on another.
Yeah,
viewing.
probably yes. That's quite a good summation. Yeah.
Okay, and who might you choose to watch it with in an ideal world?
In the ideal situation, I think I'd like to watch it with a new wife in an alpine lodge surrounded by snow.
So would it be a morning, afternoon, or an evening viewing?
I think after we'd done a few chores, cut some wood up and stuff, it would be in the afternoon, perhaps early evening.
Would you have lit the fire at this point?
Fire
in the background, or is it a bit too early?
Yeah,
to have
if
a
snow's
fire
down,
going?
we'd probably have to the fire be on all day. So yeah,
Okay, it'd just be perpetually running. Fire in the background, comfortable. New wife in the Alps or something.
Yeah.
You're going to be going to the Alps to find the wife, or are you going to take her with you?
I haven't got that far in my planning.
Okay, and would she have watched the Grand Budapest Hotel before as well? Actually, that's an important thing. Would it be you'd enjoy the fact that you'd be showing her the film fresh?
Yeah, probably. Yes. Yeah, that would be quite good.
Cool. Okay.
I'd know that it was going to be the right film
for the occasion,
and she wouldn't be quite sure, but.
But you'd fall through your superior film knowledge upon her.
You'll be dominating whole relationship.
Yeah, no euphemisms. Right. So kind of moving on to the two crossover films, which come into Best Film 2015 and Most Outstanding British Film. We will start with The Imitation Game. So how many times have you seen that one?
Yeah, this is the big one numbers wise. I've watched it 4 times, and actually I watched it, like I said, a couple of days ago, and so that makes it 5.
Right. Has it got better on every viewing, or was there a certain high point and it's tailed off a bit?
It's tailed off a bit because I noticed on the last time I watched it, noticed bits which I thought weren't brilliantly written, particularly at the beginning, and there's a couple of points, and there's a couple of bit of acting where you think, oh, that could be slightly better. So you start picking a few holes in it, but not enough to be disappointed in the film, which would lead me on to say, well, I wouldn't rush to see it again, but I certainly would see it next month or so.
Okay, and who would be the ideal viewing companion for this piece?
Well, I think my dad, actually, because he lives quite near Bletchley Park, and he's been there, and so we could do a bit of father-son bonding over the discussion of Bletchley Park, and he could fill me in on what he saw there.
Okay. Do you think he'd enjoy the piece?
Oh yeah, he would. He goes to films about once every 10 years, but this is the sort of, well, the last one he went to was the King's Speech, so that's not 10 years. But he would. Yes, it's absolutely the sort of film he would like.
Okay.
He probably wouldn't. But yes.
Okay, so should we see if the same watching level goes through to the Theory of Everything as well? How many is this hitting up the 4 or 5 mark?
No, this is just 1.5 times I've watched
another
this.
half.
Yeah, I know. To explain the half, there's a technical reason. My internet went, all the film on the internet went all blue, and I wasn't referring again to back hues of film. I wasn't enjoying the whole blue thing, so I did want to. I heard about a scene which I hadn't remembered in the first time, which I'd like to have seen again, where apparently he, in metaphorically speaking, he gets up from his chair when teaching, and I hadn't remembered that, so I wanted to go back and watch it. So I would watch it. I would like to watch the film again.
Okay, just for that one scene, and then probably not watch it again, or is it the case that maybe again some point in the future?
No, I can imagine watching it just one more time. It's not a film that offends me in any way, or I mean, I think it's a good quality film, but it didn't. Other than obviously a terrific story, I wouldn't go and.
It doesn't have a strong draw
rush
factors.
to see it. No.
Okay, and who would you choose to watch it with?
Well, I would get more out of it if I watched it with some kind of highbrow mathematician stroke physicist, as Stephen Hawking is, who could go into a few of his theories and could elaborate on that, which is not really touched on, except the fact that he wants.
Would you want to watch it with Stephen Hawking himself?
Well, I suppose, except that because of the nature of his communication, his voice, it would be very slow conversation, but it would certainly be very interesting. Yeah,
and he'd probably talk over all the other all the other bits. You know, so
I really like this. Oh, they got the hair on there.
Yeah, you just sort of whisper over to him, like during one of the quiet moments, and then, like 2 minutes later, when something, there's a lot of dialogue going on, the robot voice just goes straight over the top of everything you're watching.
Actually, that would be quite good, because it would be quite good not to talk about the maths. He could just go, "This bit is crap."
We'll just have his pre-programmed like 5 or 6 phrases. This is good. This is bad. This didn't happen. Who's that guy? Okay.
God, I'm good looking.
That does not sound like my voice. Okay. Right, so we'll move on to most outstanding British film. Now, we've already mentioned the Imitation Game and the Theory of Everything.
This is a list of 6, by the way, isn't it?
So we've got 4 in addition to the 2 we've already discussed. I mean, obviously, because those 2 have appeared in Best Film, I'm going to make the guess here that those are probably your 2 favourites from the list. Although, actually, you did speak very highly of Paddington, which we will actually go on to now. So, how many times have you watched Paddington?
I've watched it 3 times.
3?
Yeah, in fact, talking about last week, one of them was last week.
Okay.
So, the third time was last week. I wanted something warm and cosy, and I found Paddington.
Is that metaphorically and literally? Or don't want to get too much marmalade on you. But yeah, how would you watch it again?
Yeah, I would imagine within my lifetime I'd watch it probably at least twice again.
Are we talking sort of TV, movie, some point in the future?
I mean, it's going to be on every Christmas, isn't it? Not that I actually own a television at the moment, but it's going to be on.
Yeah, we're talking hypotheticals here. So, we've talked about your hypothetical wife in the Alps already.
Yes.
So.
And I would, yes, I'd take a little bit of time so I can forget all of the many subtle jokes which I enjoy, and it would be nice to revisit them.
Okay.
So I'd give it a little bit of time, but yes, definitely a couple of times.
And who would you choose to watch these with? Are these when you've had your hypothetical children with your hypothetical wife, following the evening watching Grand Budapest Hotel?
No, I've gone a bit more of an obscure choice. I've gone for Winston Churchill.
Winston, okay.
Yeah.
What's the thinking behind?
Well, apparently he did like private viewings of films on a fairly regular basis. So he's a film buff of sorts, and he would only just love it. It's set in obviously London,
Yeah.
Which he would enjoy seeing, modern London, and that's filmed very well, captured very well in this film. He would enjoy the character of who. Yes, I mean he would enjoy the character. He would enjoy the whole thing. He would enjoy the humour, which is very British.
Yeah.
It's silly enough to not to have a good time, and
Okay, so would you go with
well
Winston
formed
to
enough
his own private viewing? Would it be just you and Winston,
and all
with a cigar each, whiskey and a cigar each?
No, I just secondary smoke. I think I wouldn't bother having my own cigar. And I don't believe I've ever heard. We obviously hear his speeches. I don't think I've ever heard Winston Churchill chuckle. And I'm sure he would be chuckling through this. And I can imagine it would be a small delight in itself to hear him chuckling.
And not just commenting on warfare and politics.
Yes, exactly. He could forget all about all this serious stuff and completely immerse
have a good
himself.
time with Paddington
Bear.
Bear.
Absolutely.
Indeed. So the next one on the list is
yeah.
Pride. We haven't finished yet.
I don't know.
It's automatic. We've just passed the 15-minute mark that we always hit. That's
I was settling
the natural
back thinking,
inclination.
right, I'm going to watch Paddington with Winston Churchill now.
So, Pride.
Yes.
How many times have you seen it?
Just the once.
Will you watch it again?
I thought it was good, but I think once was enough. I don't think I would go to see that film again.
Okay, and would you bother watching it with anyone at all then, or?
Well, if I was, it would be with Sue Perkins. I've decided.
Sue Perkins. So not with Mel. Is it Goodrich? Her
Sue,
sort of comedy duo partner.
Well, I've always quite liked Sue Perkins, and she's a sort of celebrity.
Celebrity.
Yes, thank you. I don't know why that word did come out. A lesbian, and so since the film features the homosexual side of life, I would perhaps watch it with a lesbian.
So
that
for a bit more introspection.
Yeah,
perhaps,
I don't know why really. Like I said, I don't really want to watch it again.
So if you had to, it would be Sue Perkins.
But if she forced me, if she had fallen in love with me and forced me to watch it, I would.
Okay, good. So penultimate one is the film 71.
Yeah, now goodness me, I saw this about a week and a half ago for the first time. We've got with Jack Nostrils OConnell in it, who's also seen in Unbroken this year and is up for a few awards. He's up for Best Newcomer actually in the BAFTAs.
Okay.
And goodness me, it's a fantastic film. It's set in 1971 in Northern Ireland, in Belfast, about the Troubles. I don't know politically what's going on. You've got all these different forces and peoples and groups, and the Provisional IRA and the Ultra IRA and somebody helping these other blokes with dodgy 70 hair helping the police, and you don't know who's working for who quite. So politically, I mean, I know the basic format of what the problems were, Catholic, Protestant, blah blah. But there's an awful lot as the colonel, the officer, army officer at the end of the film says to Jack O'Connell, the situation was confusing. And that's all that because when O'Connell is sort of saying, well, this happened and that way and that was wrong, and that's all the officer says.
Indeed.
and so he sums up the film. But the style of it is fantastic.
So would you watch it again? It sounds like there's more there to be obtained from the film.
Yeah, I would watch
got another viewing.
I would. It's a bit of a grim film. And like I say, I'm not a very political animal, but I would watch it again just to try and understand the factions, even though I think it's always going to be confusing.
Okay. So who would you choose to watch it? Would it be kind of like Ian Paisley or?
No, I would go for Samuel Beckett.
Samuel Beckett.
Yeah, he's got a great face. I've always wanted to meet him.
So you can look at him in the bits where you don't want to be looking at the film.
I just mean he's always intrigued me, that photo of him is all creased up.
Yeah.
And having written the absurdist play Waiting for Godot,
Mm.
he's got to be an interesting. I don't know if he was political. Presumably he was.
Oh, right. So it's not really relating to the film. It's more just an excuse to have.
He's Irish. He's
Okay.
he's Irish, which helps. But he might not want. He might not want to talk politically. But given that he was obviously an intellectual man, he might have comments or even surreal comments.
Yeah, so
that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So it just enhanced it, whatever way.
So it'd be more the interest in having a drink with him after the film as opposed to watching the film with him and.
Yeah, or even with.
Or with, drink with. During.
So that would help ease it.
All good. So we'll move on to our final film. Yeah, still haven't finished.
Yeah.
The Scarlett Johansson film didn't get a particularly good IMDb rating. Under the Skin. How did it go for you, and how many times have you watched it?
Yeah, the sci-fi set in Scotland. I've watched it half. I've watched half of it.
So was this you gave up?
I did really. Well, I wasn't. As often as the case, you need to be in the right mood for a film, and this was about basically a kind of psychopathic alien kidnapping, killing men just randomly around Scotland, and I didn't really find a huge amount of warmth in that whole plot line.
No, it doesn't sound like it really. So am I assuming, will you at some point watch the second half, or was half sufficiently enough for you to not be interested?
Well, it did leave me a bit cold, so I have to say on this one, the final one, that I have no idea whether I'd watch it again, and I would have no idea who I'd watch it with. It would be
not just the general Scotsman, Billy Connolly.
Yeah, he might
make it more entertaining. Just I don't know. So, I mean, he's done a bit of acting as well. You might be able to liven it up a bit.
I think that much time with Billy Connolly would get annoying. Actually.
Robert the Bruce.
Robert the Bruce. Get really cross.
I'm sure there's a lot of general Scotsmen we could insert here, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe B-movie directors just to kind of try and fill in the gaps or make it better than you might think it would be, or just a general no one.
I think I'll just watch it with a tumbleweed,
or just with the projectionist. You can suggest he turns it off.
That'll do.
Okay, cool. So we've gone through the list. Is there much to conclude here? I mean, do you want to just give us your pick of best film 2015 and most outstanding? I mean, it sounded like from the best film in terms of your positive responses. I mean, The Imitation Game for you got, the most rewatches and the most.
I know, but I wonder whether it's just.
Is it the best film though? Because I mean, I guess you were. So yes, I weren't quite sure exactly why you kept watching it.
No, I used to repeatedly watch. A long while ago, obviously, I used to repeatedly watch the Doors film.
Okay.
But I watched that quite recently, and I thought it was really dull. So it was just the mood I was in. I was at college at the time, and but I used to watch it every night.
Okay, so does
just
one
to go to sleep.
Does one?
I suppose in that way it works. So
does the 1.5 watches of Birdman still get the top rating for best film? Or the Theory of Everything, even as we have previously discussed.
I honestly think it's a 5-horse race with the best film, with the BAFTAs. They're not. I don't think I get the impression the BAFTAs don't vote politically. They're more
even
sort of
even
partisan and sort of even. But they go, we like that film.
Well,
just because the Oscars like that film, we don't.
We like if you're going to give us a name, give one name. One name. Come on, if you were going to go down to the generic betting shop and put on your £2 sterling.
Well, okay, but because both films are in both lists, I would go for either The Imitation Game or The Theory of Everything.
What, one for one and one for the other? Are we talking one for best film and one for most outstanding?
No, I've got another answer for that.
Oh, okay.
For best film, I would go for The Imitation Game or Theory of Everything.
Right, okay. Close enough, I suppose.
That's as close as you're going to get.
So, most outstanding British film?
Right, well, having just seen it, I'm going to go for 71 on this, because there is an element in the BAFTA voting of voting for the underdog, if for want of a better expression.
Yeah.
Somebody who needs a chance. It would reward Jack O'Connell, who's had something of a breakthrough year, and he's great in this. And it's an outstanding film. It's the equivalent of Birdman in a worldwide sense, to do with the cinematic style of it. So, and covering a very important subject. Other than that, I'd say Paddington.
Paddington.
Yeah, but everybody loves Paddington, so it perhaps doesn't need the extra support.
Indeed, but yeah.
Extra
So I guess 71 is the kind of film that you could see. Again, the name isn't particularly memorable, so it's something that could just sort of slip into the background as years go by.
Yeah.
Actually, so good, good a boost.
So
in that sense.
I would I would go for 71.
Okay, cool. So any other concluding remarks to add before we finish the broadcast, Toby? Or have we covered all bases?
Go see Paddington.
Go see Paddington and 71.
However old you are.
And maybe support 71 if you get the chance. And
I wouldn't recommend that film to many people. It's a bit heavy going.
It's good, but don't watch it.
Well, it's quite a race, because there's an awful lot of handheld camera where you're running after people, or they're running and you're following them, and an awful lot of that. But it really works.
Yeah. But
it wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea at all.
Okay, so we've got go see Paddington. Don't watch Under the Skin. And shall we conclude there?
If you like old women saying the word lesbian, go and see Pride.
Perfect. Okay, we'll finish on that note. That sounds like a good one. So bye everyone.
Goodbye.